Okay, so here is the video on how to create the graphs in Google Sheets. So what I've done, excuse me, is I've gone and just kind of done some data. So don't try to copy this because it's not even at the right height. So the first graph that you have to do is time of flight versus speed. So what you're going to do is highlight those two columns, so speed and time of flight, and then you're going to go to Insert Chart. Okay, as I said in class, it'll come up as a column chart. So, but in physics, what we do is we do scatter plots. So we're going to change this, come all the way down here to scatter with the dots. Don't do the ones with the bubble chart, but we want to do a scatter chart. Okay, and now you can see there's my data points. I can resize this just so I can have a little bit more view. But now we're going to go ahead and do some customizing to it. So remember, we do have to title our chart. So you're going to click Customize Chart and Axis Titles. And so this is time of flight measured in seconds versus speed measured in meters per second. And you can see as I'm doing it, it's updating here. Now I got to label my horizontal axis. So all I do is click the drop-down menu where it says chart title. My horizontal is speed in meters per second. You have to remember that it's Y versus X. So your vertical axis versus your horizontal axis. Okay, and now I'm going to do my vertical, and that is my time of flight. Okay, and you can see it's updated over here. Now, the only thing with this graph that I don't like is that the dots are kind of all bunched at the top. So to kind of, we got to do a couple more things. So we're going to go to series. This is where we're going to put our trend line. For right now, you don't have to do the equation, but at least get the trend line on there so you can see that the relationship that is established. Okay, so then we can go to our next one, which is where we're going to go to vertical axis. Again, I don't like that it's all kind of bunched. I like to kind of be a little spread out. I'm going to change this to a maximum of 3. Okay, I can even put a minimum value here if I want. But that's all we're going to do there. And then these are just other little things that you can do, such as adding in major grid lines, minor grid lines. You see as I'm, major ticks. The ticks don't matter. And then that's the vertical axis. I'm going to change it on the horizontal axis. So I'm going to bring in my minor grid line. So it just kind of looks more like a graph. All right. So that is the first one, right? The second graph is horizontal distance versus speed. Okay, now the one thing you see is that they're not next to each other. Okay, so what you have to do is select the speed column, then hit your control button, and then now you can select the distance column. Okay, if you held the other way to highlight multiple like that is shift, but what happens is you'll actually end up selecting everything. And you'll want to create two separate graphs. So again, we're going to go here and pick our scatter plot, right, or our scatter chart as they call it. Okay, there's my graph now. And typically we don't, the lab said to put in the 0.00, which is good, because then our trend line will go through that point. And so now I'm going to go again now customize. So my chart title is going to be horizontal distance, right, measured in meters versus speed measured in meters per second. Then I do my horizontal axis, which is my speed in meters per second. Vertical axis is my horizontal distance measured in meters. Okay, go to series again. Now you don't have to put the trend line, or you don't have to give the equation the trend line, but there it is. You can use the equation. You see it pops up right here. It kind of gives you an idea of the constants and so forth. But we're just going to click none. And then again, I don't like how it kind of abruptly ends at 10. I think 10 is the last data point. So I'm going to choose, max of 12 so I can get a little bit of clarity there. And let me change the horizontal axis. I can do the same thing. I don't like that it just ends right there. So I'm going to put this out to 10. Okay. So there's my graph. And that actually looks pretty good. So here's, again, this is how you create the graphs using Google Sheets.